Well, welcome everyone to Power Connect and Energy Tech Week 2026. My name is Cody Norton, and I am the co-founder of Ignite the Spark. It takes an entire team, everyone together. We have a lot of partners in this week, and we have a lot of events happening the entire week. It started off last night. We had a booze Q's and A's. We then had, in the morning today, a run. We had events going on. We have more events going the entire week, so make sure that you're checking our Luma. You can ask, we have team members all over. They're wearing white t-shirts. I could see one in the back, and it says Ignite Team, so be able to find them. Before we kick off the event, really, I want to be able to thank our hosts here at Startup Nation Central for having us. And I want to invite up Alon Kaspa. Before I even invite you up, you come running up, so excited. He's the Director of Global Partnerships here at SNC.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you. Hi, familiar faces. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Startup Nation Central. It's great to see so many familiar faces here. My name is Alon Kaspa. I'm the Director of Global Partnerships here. And as many of you have been seeing on the news, probably, we just wanted to clarify some of the things that we're going through here at Startup Nation Central lately. First of all, I want to reassure you that Startup Nation Central is deeply committed to its original mission, and that's to strengthen Israel through strengthening its economy through our beloved high-tech ecosystem, and especially the energy tech sector. And actually, over the past 13 years, we've had the privilege of working alongside entrepreneurs, investors, multinational corporations, governments, and ecosystem partners from around the world. And as both the Israeli economy and the global innovation landscape continue to evolve, we are adapting as well. So our focus going forward is to work even more closely with the broader innovation ecosystem, create stronger connections between stakeholders, and help unlock new opportunities for Israeli innovation, including emerging regional collaborations that can drive growth and impact for the entire economy. The energy tech sector is a great example of where collaboration, technology, long-term thinking can create meaningful change, which makes today's gathering even more particularly important. So thank you all for being here, and back to you, Cody.
Thank you, Alon, and we look forward to the next chapter. And when we look at this week, what an amazing thing that the community comes together, everything focused around energy and the future and how we find what to do in these challenging times. These are a lot of topics that will be covered today and tomorrow as well. We're a growing community, and I couldn't think of a better person to be able to come up, talk about it, and what Ignite the Spark does, our fearless leader, Sean Dana.
Okay, so welcome everybody. This is probably the official event as part of the Energy Tech Week, so I think it's deserve another round of applause. And also save a bit more time until they upload the presentation. This Energy Tech Week was something that we were working a lot for the recent month, with a lot of uncertainties, a lot of questions. I think we all felt that in this atmosphere, not only in the ecosystem, also in Israel. And this is something that we decided without no choice, without really no doubts that we're going to do it. And we are really grateful to have SNC, Israel Export Institute, and Tel Aviv here around us as a partner for this event, and more than 50 partners that support this week. So thank you again for all of you that support that. No. Okay. So after we got a bit welcome from our partners and from Cody, we start going directly to this event. I think that some of you already managed to see some QR codes around us. Some of them started to use that, some of you not. We believe that connection are the most important as part of our community. That's why you have amazing people like Eyal Efrati that support us with a vision to create a Tinder for the energy sector. So basically, you can see the people here in the room, even with this exclusive gathering, and you can see their profile. Some of you already kind of used that and tried that. You can save that. You can connect with them later. This is an early pilot, so you would be happy to hear your feedback and appreciate any thoughts about it. And if we have a success, maybe we have another platform for our community. So this is just something new because we like to start with a new as advance. Let's start and go deeper to what we are for. So one of the main anchors of this event and this week is our community and the startup community. Every year we work hard together with an amazing team and a lot of stakeholders to try to gather the information and try to give you transparent information about what's going on here in Israel in the energy tech sector. So even though we've crazy 3 years and even a bit before then, we can see that slowly but steady, the ecosystem is growing. And you can see a growth of more than 65% since the inception of our database with our partners in Startup Nation Central. And we are going to see very, very soon how the new map will look like. But before we delve deeper, and before I talk about more statistics, I would more than honor to invite to the stage Yariv Lotan from Startup Nation Central and Lior Gaon, our partners as well from Israel Expert Institute.
So thank you, Sean. Always a pleasure being here and partnering up. So thank you for the optimistic picture. It's really nice. And at the same time, I want to say that we don't want to sugarcoat things. Fundraising is hard. Really hard. It's one of the biggest challenges for founders, especially in an industry like energy, and well, even more in our beloved country. And yet, despite these challenges, over $700 million have been invested in the ecosystem since our previous report last June, while $207 million was invested since the beginning of 2026. And we're also seeing some very interesting things about M&As, and I want to invite Yariv to share some more.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Leo. We're happy to use the final platform that serves the ecosystem to generate yet another map and another report highlighting the energy tech sector. I think that most important is that if we look 3 years back, when we talk about M&A, the largest M&A was 35 million. And when we look today, at the beginning of 2026, we already see 2 M&A deals together at the size and extent of 1.7 billion. That means that the sector, much like the ecosystem, is growing and scaling. And I think we're seeing maturation, we're seeing strategic. I think when we look at the ecosystem in general, but specifically also we see it in sectors like energy tech, I think the motto is bigger and fewer. Bigger deals, bigger M&As, fewer events. This is part of the scaling part that is going through Israel as a tech hub, but also we see the same in the US and other places. So we can see here this phase, this trend of bigger and fewer, and we continue to see it in different aspects of the sector that keeps on growing, and you can read more about it in the report.
Okay, so we got to the final moment, as we do, almost revealing the map. A moment before, I just want to say thank you and much appreciation for the great team that worked on that. For Leah, for Maor, for Aya, Eshel, Cody, Kadan, all those amazing teams here in our team and also in Startup Nation Central that collaborate for so long time to create this opportunity together. Having the right information, collect the data, this is not something that is super easy. And thanks again also for the community, for sharing this, that we can able to give it opportunity to see these updates. Are we ready to the map? Okay, so this is the new map, 2026 map. We got 180 companies out of almost 370 companies in the entire ecosystem. Why are there only 180 as part of the 370? Just want to remind you all that we have a bar, a criterias. Only startups that got funding or startups that got companies less than 15 years. That's helped us not to overexpand and also to be able to give an update picture with the same criteria for the last few years. This is a kind of interactive map. You get an opportunity only for you guys to see it for the first time. So you can scan this QR, you can play with that and get this basically to your phone. And right now, yeah. So then this is something that's worth a picture by itself from this side. Just a few details and a few inputs about this year map. I think some of the topics that we see recent years, and I think related also for what Yariv mentioned about M&A, is solutions that are answering the massive hunger of AI, the compute behind that. So we start to see more solution behind the meter that tackling specifically that. The recent exits that are changing the momentum comes specifically from that area of silicon compute. Besides that, we all familiar with all the challenges, the geopoliticals, all the uncertainties we have, and we have conversation about that much sooner with our interviewers here. So that's why we see, even with the unsexy or even with the big decline last years, more topics from hydrogen, cyber, energy storage to give resilience that get into this picture. Besides that, Yariv, do you want to mention anything else?
Yeah, I think that first I want to acknowledge the contribution of our AI agent masters, Ahmed and Dima, who created the report very quickly and very effectively. I think that two things it's worth noticing about energy tech. First of all, it's a higher rate of early stage companies, as you can see here, and this has been consistent over the years. And on the other side, because there is more capital intensive investment for the larger companies, you see a higher share of public companies. The rest you can read in the report coming this week.
You want to mention anything about the growth?
So what you can see here again, early stage is very significant. Growth is growing actually. The number of companies that are moving into the growth phase is increasing. And then we have mature companies. Again, there are quite a few mature companies in the sector, and we need to acknowledge because they contribute a lot to the sector and its growth. And then acquired and public, which are a bit higher than the general ecosystem.
So I don't have to explain here to the audience that over the last 3 years, we've seen massive changes in the energy sector that would easily impact the energy ecosystem. But instead, Israeli companies adapted really quickly, pivoting, sharpening their strategy, and refocusing on what's ahead. And the picture is clear. There is just not enough available energy for the AI revolution. Today, more than 30% of the companies on the map are tackling one of data centers' biggest bottlenecks: energy, how to generate it, how to store it, how to use it efficiently.
So I would just to conclude that eventually we see more solutions, we see more needs, and we're going to hear about that very soon. So I'll let the amazing content to continue and invite our dear Cody to continue and take it straight from here. Thank you for everyone.
Thank you, Sean. You're amazing. Amazing work on the map this year. It's amazing that we get to do this every year and present the report. I'm very happy that you all already went and scanned it. It was very nice to turn around and see all of you do that. So we just heard about the startups and the innovation, as you saw, and all the companies that are doing that. But where does a municipality come into play? We're sitting right here in Tel Aviv. And that's why I want to invite Tel Aviv, which we know as a global innovation hub. I want to invite up Daniela Shlonim, head of ecosystem startup here at Tel Aviv Global.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm truly honored to be here today. My name is Daniela Slonim Yanai, and I'm head of ecosystem startups in Tel Aviv Tech. I'm here to tell you the future of our city. Specifically, I'm going to go in through and prepare the preparation of the grid, its economy, and its climate goals for a massive surge in energy demand that we're expecting in 2030. Yeah? Great. Perfect. The two questions that we thought of when we went to discuss the urban challenges is one, what is the city's role in energy? I mean, on a global strategy national level, but every single kilowatt is consumed locally. The second question is, can the city withstand extreme scenarios? I mean, we have definitely real-world gaps between the national grid's capacity and the actual demands of a dense global city like Tel Aviv. We have to surpass during heat waves, security events, or supply shocks. Okay, this is a sneak peek to the actual annual plan. Every single initiative in this plan is justified through at least one of these critical lenses. Number one is resilience. We must ensure a reliable power supply that needs to work in routine and, more importantly, continuous operations during emergency and grid stress. Number two is the economy. We aim to capture economic value for the municipality while reducing energy costs for residents, but also for businesses that drive our city forward. And number three is climate. We're fully committed to accelerating progress against Tel Aviv's climate plan targets, slashing emissions, deploying renewable energy, and adapting our urban environment. Let's look at the data, because the data doesn't lie, okay? In terms of, I'm sorry that it's like less optimistic than the growth that we were shown here in the report, but we can see that in 2025, our wide annual demand was just over 4 terawatt hours, and by 2030, in just 4 years, we project we will roughly reach 5.10 terawatt hours. That is projection of 25 increase in an annual electricity consumption across Tel Aviv. So what happens if we do nothing? If we, go without scaling local generation, we're looking at a straight critical gap. By 2030, the gap could reach 200 to 300 megawatt. To put this in perspective, that is roughly 10% of our entire city demand. This gap will persist and stretch longer across more hours of the day. And it will appear most when we are prominently the most vulnerable. Because, thanks, during peak winters and cold Decembers, and during summer demands in the middle of July and August. I want to make it clear, a supply gap is not just an abstract spreadsheet problem. Without intervention, during winter evenings, households take the hit. As you can see, 50% of our total demand during those hours, and that means that during this gap, people inside their homes are leaving families in the cold. During summer, it's usually during the daytime, so businesses are what takes 70% of a demand, and that will mean that a failure will hit the engines of Tel Aviv's economy. We're not waiting for this to happen, and therefore we are to bridge for 2030. In order to do this, we are building 5 strategic levers, and this is where it connects to what you have been doing here in this room. One is solar generation. We are actively activating every viable rooftop, parking canopy, and municipal asset for photovoltaic generation. The city currently has 120 solar roof in public buildings, mostly on schools. You have to understand it's such a complicated project because you have to make sure that the buildings can withstand such solar energy. And the systems are ranging in size from 50 kilowatts to 300 kilowatts with a total capacity about 10 megawatts. In terms of energy storage, we are shifting the midday solar surplus into critical evening peak hours using battery systems at both the district's level and the building scales. About a year ago, an urban resilience center was created in the Neve Eliezer Community Center, which includes a large solar roof and an energy storage system that can maintain functional continuity even when the power grid goes down. There's about 4 to 5 power outages there in that area every summer. In this case, their multi-purpose hall remains connected and phones can be charged, refrigerators can be used, and the place can be cooled down during the summer. Managed EV charging, even utilizing the signals and the smart infrastructure to charge electric vehicles. 4 is energy efficiency. We are implementing strict green building codes and demand management. The 5th one is the generation expansion, working hand in hand with national stakeholders to expand overall grid capacity. This is where you, founders, innovators, and investors in the room come in. The 2030 demand wave is coming, and Tel Aviv-Yafo is actively seeking international partners and groundbreaking technologies to help us deliver this plan. Tel Aviv is a global tech powerhouse. Our ecosystem is at 571 billion enterprise value, and we rank at the number 4 of a global ecosystem, and we are holding top 10 spots for knowledge, talent, experience, and funding. For the startups here, we offer unique perks and unparalleled city access. And for the investors, we are offering something rare, a municipality-scale pipeline for real-world energy tech deployment in a city that is number 1 in the world from conversion from startups to unicorns. Our talent drives global impact. 1 in 5 employees in the city works in the tech industry. We have over 18,000 multinational employees currently operating in Tel Aviv. And we are already seeing incredible hardware and energy success stories. I like this quote from Adionics where Dr. Bitton says that he decided to open the lab in Tel Aviv in a street called Totzeret Haaretz, which is, made here. Another example for us is Nanotherma, which is an early stage startup that started via our platform and partnership with Epsilon here in our innovation hub in South Tel Aviv. Woo! And another example here, which I saw also in the report, is TerraWave, a stealth startup that we helped find an office that suits their specific needs. At Tel Aviv Tech, we are dedicated to making sure you succeed. We offer 7 concrete services specifically designed to support founders. 1 is exclusive content and workshops. 2 is matchmaking for premium office space and lab spaces. Okay, sometimes we don't think of deep tech and energy tech as something that can be in Tel Aviv, but we help that happen. Guide and navigate you to unlock the municipality and connect you with the right government departments. 4 is local and global networking with multinationals and top-tier academia. 5 is tech conferences exposures for global visibility. And 6 is essential startup perks and benefits to discount businesses' services. The last and not least is one-on-one mentorship and office hours with industry leaders. All I have mentioned is happening because of this team, and we're here for you. And this is the message I want you to go home with, that our Tel Aviv tech team is ready and eager to collaborate. We want to hear your ideas, test your pilots, and help you scale. I invite you all to stay in touch, and you can reach out via email or contact us on LinkedIn, and let's ignite the spark for urban energy resilience together. Thank you very much for their time.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniela. So that was basically an open call and letting everyone know, come get involved in this city. And it's thanks for using our name at the end and igniting the spark in it. And with that, it's time for our firesides. This is going to be great. You get to sit down, have real conversation, get a little sneak peek into what people think, some thought leaders, what they're doing. The first one, we're really going to global markets, right? Where does a climate tech startup sit at in a geopolitical headwind? Where do they go? So in this, we're going to have venture capital, startup growth, and investment trends, and we'll get a little understanding of that. So I want to be able to introduce Tomer Diari, General Partner, Aleph, and then our very own Aya Efrati, Strategic Manager Partner, Ignite the Spark.
Hi, everyone. You can hear me? Hi, everyone. Nice to see some familiar faces and some new faces as well. Hi, Tomer.
Yeah.
So I think we'll start with a short introduction. We don't have so much time, but maybe give us a sense of, well, who you are, what is Aleph, and what are you doing in the energy tech sphere today?
Sure. Good being here. Excellent igniting the spark. My name is Tomer Diari. I am a general partner at Aleph, and Aleph is an early-stage venture capital firm. We spend our day meeting entrepreneurs and helping our companies grow here in Tel Aviv. We are the primary investors behind, I want to say 80 companies now, based in Tel Aviv, with operations all around the world. We invest across all categories, but to be honest, in recent years, we have gravitated away towards more of the deep tech type investments. And so you would find in our current portfolio investments ranging from AI through defense, semiconductor, and a lot of energy, and also some software. You can't go without it. We are happy to meet early stage entrepreneurs working on exciting companies here in Tel Aviv.
So you said AI. I think everyone's in their heads about AI anyway. So let's talk a little bit about that. We know that AI is causing one of the largest surges in electricity demand worldwide, and it's also having a strain on supply chains worldwide. Can you give us a little bit about where you see that this trend is going in terms of the investments, in terms of, we just showed our startup maps, and we saw that there's different areas that the startups in Israel are growing. Can you give us a little bit of insight from your side as an investor, where you see this connecting?
Yeah. Well, there are some parts about AI that Israel is uniquely disadvantaged to pursue. If we want to build a foundational model, for example, don't do it in Tel Aviv. You got to have specific talent, and they're based in San Francisco, and you got to get a lot of capital to finance these projects. But there are some projects that I think Tel Aviv and Israel are uniquely positioned to pursue. When we look at AI and we think about the supply chains behind it, we at Aleph look at two categories. We look at the applicative soft level. So these are companies leveraging AI, and we see AI all around us all the time, right? And then we look at how do we make AI work. And at Aleph, we primarily look into two sectors. The first being semiconductors and the required technology. So this also includes photolithography, for example. And how do we meet the dramatic hunger for compute power globally? And then the other is energy and rare earths that are used to either manufacture these chips to begin with or power the stations themselves. And I think even before, the Straits of Hormuz became the epicenter of global economy, and even before we've seen the price of oil really skyrocketing, we were already facing a challenge of supply versus demand, mostly driven by data centers. I think with oil, it's up 7% this morning, I already checked. And it's almost at $100 a barrel for 2-3 months now. This is dramatically changing the way we think about energy, and I think opens up new approaches for R&D to be invested behind new sources of energy.
So maybe we should also speak about the elephant in the room that I think everyone especially as you've touched on it a little bit. We find ourselves in the middle of a conflict where Israel has a unique position, but also maybe some unique opportunities. Do you see us having as any opportunities within this changing geopolitical situation and market?
You know, I have some good, some bad. And so prices are going up and we're feeling it. I don't know when is the last time you filled the gas in the gas station. It is up all the time. But there's opportunity. When you look, for example, during this war, at the unique relationship formed between Israel and the United Arab Emirates, this gives me some aspirations for potential trade routes bypassing Hormuz. And when you see the most recent decision of the UAE to finally leave OPEC, one of my least favorite organizations in the world is OPEC. They finally decided to quit. Hopefully others follow suit. I think it is a testament to old world order that also includes organizations like the UN and NATO that are being challenged right now. But it's times of change create opportunity. It's times of change that we are able to really reimagine the world and build the most meaningful companies out of it. And so we're very excited at Aleph, and I think that cooperation within the Gulf with some of our nearest neighbors creates a lot of opportunity.
Amazing. So maybe give us a little bit about where you guys have invested within this world, and what are the fields that you see are the most trending right now as a VC, from your perspective as a VC, because I think that in energy tech, there's a little bit of a different perspective rather than other kinds of investors.
Yeah, well, I'd start by saying we are not impact investors, and I have a lot of respect for impact investors. But at the end of the day, Aleph is a financial-oriented firm. We manage capital, and our goal, number one goal, is to return significant returns to our investors. And the way to do that is to judge every single initiative through a financial lens. If they can do good by the world, wonderful. That's a given plus for us. Now, we are generalists, and so we invest across all areas and all startup companies based here in Tel Aviv. But in Q1 alone, we invested in 2 energy companies. So this is becoming a hot topic for us, where we are spending significant amount of capital and time. I think the 3 areas in energy that I am personally passionate about are, well, number one is the companies that are transforming the exploration and exploitation of natural resources, primarily oil, gas, and rare earths minerals. Okay. And here we look at companies that are able to leverage AI and data in sophisticated ways in order to either identify new hotspots, new sources, new places where we can drill, baby drill, or place technologies and data that helps us recover additional crude from existing assets. So I think folks living in Tel Aviv with access to data, with access to AI, we can have a dramatic impact, and I know there's already a few companies pursuing that. The second category, we like to go niche, and I think there are many very niche, energy-hungry categories out there that are looking for a supplier. For example, at Aleph, we had invested in a company called Voltify, and Voltify, it's an early-stage company founded by the former founders of the Ral Energy. And what they're trying to do is provide consistent energy solutions to industrial complexes and rail networks in the US. So it's a very niche small market, but even niche small markets in energy are measured in the tens of billions. And if they are able to build a brand and distribution and a business around one of these niche areas, they're able to capture it and maybe build a semi-monopoly type company around it. Other categories where I think niches exist include desalination plants, maritime shipments, data centers. Everyone's talking about data centers nowadays, maybe submarines, maybe other categories too. So these are number one, number two, right? We discussed the exploration and exploitation of natural resources, and then we discussed these niche categories where you can become an energy supplier. The third category where I think energy lends itself well to Israel is reimagining energy sources and thinking about new sources that can replace oil and gas over the coming decades. Israel is already established as a leader in solar energy. I mean, we have some of the largest global companies like Enlight and SolarEdge and Doral operating right here from Israel. We can look sideways into more science fiction style technologies. I personally am a fan of fusion, but also fission is a wonderful category right now. I can't go without giving a shout out to Entitau, the Israeli-based fusion company. But there are many other earlier stage initiatives right now in nuclear. And I think the third maybe approach there would be using synthetic biology and advanced technologies in order to reimagine the entire process of generating oil. We have a company in the sector called OR, but there are many others operating here in Tel Aviv.
Great. So I think we spoke about a lot of the different categories, and I'm happy to say that we have many of them represented tomorrow on stage at the All Stars. So please come and see us then. Thank you, Tomer.
Thank you, Aya. Thank you, everyone. Wonderful being here. Let's ignite the spark.
Thank you. Great job. So, some of those topics, as Aya said, were touched on. And we did hear a bit about the crisis. And of course, this is something that's constantly talked about, AI and everything there. So whenever we look at crisis, now we're in a stage where we look to capitalize. How do we capitalize on the crisis and create opportunities? Building projects is never easy, so how do you adapt and be able to adapt in a crisis? And with that, I'd like to bring up two people that I like to call friends. I want to bring Lior from Israel Export Institute back up, and Liran Dor. I had to look it up because he has a couple titles: CTO, co-CEO, co-founder of Boston Energy. It's just on the chair.
Hi, Liran.
Hey, Leo.
So, side note, Liran and I go way back. Okay, not way back, 3 years back. But we did see an impressive number of countries together for delegations. And he's also part of the board of directors at the Israel Expert Institute. So before you dive in, tell us what Boston Energy does.
Well, thank you for SNC and Ignite for having me here. And thank you for inviting me for the call, Leo. And the Export Institute. So everybody got the
Thank
credit?
you.
Everybody got the right credit? Good.
Everyone got
Good.
credit.
Very good. Boston Energy, we've been developing now, and when I say developing, I'm talking about 20 years, a waste to value solution. Basically, we take municipal solid waste, garbage, and we convert it into hydrogen, CO2, and heat. This hydrogen can be then transformed to various derivatives. It can be done for data centers, behind the meter energy, and Sean mentioned the need in the map. It can be used for chemicals, and it can be used for different kinds of fuels, aviation fuel, ammonia, etc. The one thing about waste is that it's always here. It never goes away. It never will go away. It will always, and it's a problem which you can solve. And by doing it, we are dedicating ourselves for energy security from waste.
Amazing. I personally love waste solutions. So after hearing about what you're building, that's jumping. We all know that the energy sector is under massive pressure lately. The AI and data center boom, Europe dealing with the loss of Russian gas, and now the Hormuz crisis is entering the picture, of course. And we've seen actually throughout history that crisis is often the biggest catalyst for change. As a founder, do you think this can be one of these turning points for the industry?
These crises are happening to a market which is already stretched very, very thin from various reasons of an AI boom, increasing electrification, increasing energy demand on various sectors. But that change also comes to an industry that's very conservative and does not like to change until it's forced. And these crises are actually kind of forcing it to be disruptive. So it gets us very good into these kind of situations that require this change. A good example in Israel is desalination. We were exporters of desalination plants, but only when the aquifer got loss of water, we decided to build ourselves.
Yeah, we all remember that commercial.
Yeah. So that's a good example. Wastewater reclamation, another good example in Israel. Just to name a few. So you do need that change. I come from South Africa, so the South African boycott actually was one of the pillars of gasification, which helped my industry grow. Yeah. So yes, crisis does change, and it changes the priorities.
And what have you been feeling lately? Is there any change Did progress move faster with Busan Energy?
The change has been dramatic. So since the crisis, projects that have been on the fence without the need to decide have moved into execution, and you will be hearing more in the next few weeks. I can't elaborate too much, but one thing we can share now is
we won't tell. You can.
we have signed our first commercial contract in Australia.
Oh, wow, you're telling. Okay.
No,
pressure.
that we can say.
Okay.
There are a few
Okay,
others.
that's
There are a
good.
few others that we cannot say yet, but there's good news coming in the next few weeks.
Amazing. I'm so happy personally to see these changes. So, last question, I promise. I completely agree that priorities are changing, and from my perspective, when working with the energy global community, I also feel that the conversation is changing right now. I would say that green and sustainability are out. Maybe, don't kill me. And the energy security and cost reduction are in. Do you feel, as a startup in this space, is this branding shift positive?
Well, I'll quote first one of the CTOs in the chemical companies we're working on one of these projects we're going to be announcing soon. And he told me that in his presentation, it used to be all about resilience and sustainability. And now it's all about cost reduction and energy security. But they still want to do the transition. So to answer your question, that helps us, it helps us direct and mature the market. So we do not rely anymore on hopes and dreams. We look at facts, we look at fundamentals, and I think that this branding is very important because there are industries here, and we saw the map, the amazing map that Ignite and you guys have done, just by a few, that can handle this. And if my message to the startups is just be fact-driven and go forward.
Amen. Thank you, Liran.
Thank you both so much. So it's a different approach, right? The way that we're looking at it. So while we continue on the topic of different, the next one is impact for profit. It's a bit of a different idea at the end of the day, and Weave Capital is doing it different. So I want to invite up Gabby Trona, Senior Advisor with Weave Capital, Chairman of Ignite the Spark, Eshel Lippman, my brother.
I noticed that it's always tricky because you don't know where your head is going to pop up. Gabby, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you so much for joining us today. A little bit last minute. We unfortunately don't go way back, but it's an honor to have you here. And Investing with Impact is a title that I think a few years ago would have been a bit controversial. Even I am an investor myself. I invest for profit. And I think that it might be a little bit confusing. So would you mind, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, about Weave Impact, and try to help us understand what is exactly investing with impact and impact investing and where it sits in 2026 between philanthropy and capitalistic or for-profit investing.
Okay, so firstly, I'm going to say that investing for impact is for profit. Where we tend to differ is what that profit is. So for us, as long as we're getting our capital back, whether it's 1% or 8% return, we're happy. And as long as there's an impact that's measurable, that we can see, and that's locked in, we're happy. Weave Impact has been impact investing on behalf of our clients for the last decade. And we're very active. Over the last 5 months, we've done almost 10 investments. And what's really exciting when you think about 2026 is that we've flirted with climate and with energy tech, but this is the first year that we've actually made investments. So we're very excited about that, and we have a lot more capital to invest. So I'm going to put that out there.
So maybe let's unfold that a little bit, because a new investor investing in energy tech, that's the reason why we decided to bring them on stage, and first investment this year. So we're very happy that that you've done that. And maybe if you can share, maybe later, tell us a bit more about what exactly you've done and what are you looking forward to do. But before that, what are the like the instruments that you guys are usually investing, and is it typical investing for equity, or what are you doing which is a bit different?
So our clients mostly, not all, but mostly started off as philanthropists and then moved into investment. And so for them, the easiest option was debt. And everybody hears loans and debts and gets really nervous around the idea of taking a loan. But we found it to be an incredibly, incredibly powerful tool. And it works both for our investors and for companies. You don't have to give up equity. If we can see revenue, then you can see how you can pay us back. It's a short-term relationship. We don't sit on a board. And it's in all of our investments, we always sort of start off with the debt option, the option to take a loan first. We do have the option to invest in equity. We have done it. We will do it in the future. But debt is definitely one of our favorite tools to use.
So maybe just to share, I think for most of the entrepreneur here and in our ecosystem, we used to come up with this very clear idea that we should give up part of the cap table, part of the equity of the company in order to get some funding to run forwards. And that's very challenging in the energy sector sometimes, because you need to raise more and more and more money, and eventually you're being diluted, especially when you have longer horizons until you can liquefy, until you can get some of the returns back. And so where that comes to play, what are you different, for instance, from a bank who give me a normal loan, and where does it suit to the energy sector specifically?
So we're different because we're impact investors, which means that at the end of the day, there's people behind it. I mean, there's people behind it in a bank, but there are people that can listen. So something like COVID happens or a war, and suddenly you can pick up a phone and you can say, we're in the middle of a war this month. It's not going the way it should be, and we can very quickly restructure your loan for you. We can play with the interest in a way that a bank can't. We can offer interest rates that a bank can't, and we can take on, and this is really important with impact investors, we can take on risk that banks don't tend to take on. And that is, when you're an early stage energy company, really important. If you don't want to give up part of your equity and you do have some income so that you can show us how to pay back a loan, because at the end of the day, we do want to get our money back. It doesn't have to be at prime plus, but we do want our money back. We can offer you a loan that will just get you to that next point where you can then potentially go and raise a round, or go to the bank, or have that additional client or customer that you need in order to keep going.
And maybe just to double down on that, if there is one message I would really want to say, is that we see globally more and more deep tech, energy tech, hardware companies training now to do venture debt and taking some sort of project finance. I think that it's a quite mature approach that you can see globally, but the people that we find that does venture debt, for instance, in Israel, almost none of them is willing to work around energy, and it's really refreshing to find someone who does. So with no further ado, can you tell us a little bit, what do you do in the energy sector?
So we're doing a few things at the moment. The one that we really like to do, it's easy, it's highly impactful, is we really like to give bridge loans for solar panels. So we see a lot of, and this is not an energy tech startup and not very high tech, but we're seeing a lot of NGOs using their space for solar panels, which creates income for them, which for us is amazing, because we're basically securing income on and on. We know that there is a return. And so we're really looking at a lot of projects where we'll give the bridging finance or the initial finance to put the solar panels up on roofs. A lot of kibbutzim in the south are doing this. And actually, this was sort of the gateway drug into climate investing in general. For a lot of philanthropists, they started with putting philanthropic capital there, realized they don't have to give philanthropic capital, they can put loans down. And this is what now we see more and more people that were traditionally philanthropists impact investing from this channel. We're also looking at tech companies. In particular, our clients are very interested in waste management. So if anybody has a waste management company, this is my...
Boson just, Liran.
I'm just going to throw it out there. And so we're looking at loans that we're also investing in equity in those companies. For us, what's important as well is that there is impact in Israel. And this is really important. Like I said, the majority of our clients started from a philanthropic side, became investors, got involved in this through investing in Israel. And so while we know that your final customer base will not be Israeli, we want to see an impact here.
Perfect. So I think when Cody and I started Ignite the Spark 7 years ago, we wanted to create some sort of impact and help people in the room. And over time, I think we grew and understand how we can do it better. Now it's only a small week with 15 events, and good job, Ignite the Spark team. I really want to thank you all once again. They deserve it, definitely. And I think what part of the learning, both personal and as an investor, as an entrepreneur, I think about your capital stack, see exactly how you plan the path to the next inflection point. And we know how challenging this could be to fundraise. And I see some people nodding, definitely challenging. There are people here who think differently and can offer you different vehicles for equity or debt or venture debt, etc. And you should utilize them. So Gabby, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
You'll be staying here afterwards so people can approach. And have a wonderful week, guys.
Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, Eshel. Let's continue on the idea of different. When we talk about investment, there's one way to look at it differently, and that's what we just heard from Gabby right now. Now, what happens when you take a founder that's from outside of energy? When you have a founder that's outside, it's a different perspective, especially when it's a company that's USA, Israel-based. So whenever we take that perspective, and then we look at it of, okay, from before we had generalists from a VC side, and then you take energy and AI and trying to solve it differently. So that's where I want to be able to invite up Tal Chalazon, co-founder 257. I'm just going to go this way so you don't hear the mic. And then Alon Chokaspa, I want to invite you back up from Startup Nation Central.
Thanks for the tip, Eshel. You're there. Hi, Tal.
Hey, I feel like my hair looks a little better in the picture, but...
Everything's relative. It's better than mine, so you're good.
Thank you.
And we have a problem because I think we're the only fireside chat between us and the beers. So we could be
the right place to be.
We could be the best or the worst fireside chat, depends.
Or we can bring the beers here and just merge.
Then it will definitely be a good one. So thanks for joining us here.
Thank you.
Let's jump right to it. You and Scott came into residential energy, not from the traditional energy sector. When you started 257, what did industry insiders assume you would not understand? And 2 years in, what has actually become your outsider advantage? And tell us more about 257.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, hello everybody, I'm Tal Chalozin. Chalozin in Hebrew, but and 257, our company, is a data and AI platform for residential energy. We're creating a digital twin for every home in the United States. There's 140 million residential units, rental, owned, multifamily, single family, doesn't matter. And we want to know for every home exactly how insulated is the roof, how the water heated, how's the air heated, how is air transferred inside the home, how many people live there, how many smart thermostat you have, do you have an EV or not? All of those attributes, and then build models to predict energy, future energy usage, essentially simulate meter data, inner day usage and future, and using that, allow us to improve, to find anomalies and find ways to improve future consumption on the grid. I don't remember the question, but I'm just going to riff.
Maybe about your outsider advantage.
It's all good. So to connect to the question, before starting 257, I started a company here in Tel Aviv, then moved it to New York called Innovid. Back in the ancient days at 2007. This company was a data and analytics company in the streaming TV space, selling to marketers, very large brands. In the television space, the company we grew and grew and grew, and took it public in 21, and then sold it in a take-private deal to private equity. My partner started and ran a company called Roku. It's a streaming device. So per the question, sorry for the very long preamble, but we came from the marketing or the media space, and we're really fascinated about the energy sector for a lot of different reasons. But first and foremost, because we love energy as a sector, but we felt like for 140 years, the grid has been fairly static, definitely in the resi space, and we felt like there is no internet scale software or data driven software in that space, and we wanted to build one. And in a great Israeli, I don't know, pretentious chutzpah, whatever you want to call it, we just said, fuck that, we're going to make it. And we kind of took the idea of being an outsiders as a benefit, or ignorance as a bliss. And two things that are really pays dividends. One, we do come from the marketing and the media space, which is something that is fairly lacking in the energy space. Not a lot of amazing brands. People are not really emotionally attached with their utilities or things like that. And this is something that we do see our customers right now appreciate a lot. And the second is we felt like we don't come with a preconceived knowledge or with sacred cows idea of what does how things are done in the energy space. So both of those really are helping us build a business that is kind of internet or data and AI first in the energy sector.
Yeah, so about the AI first maybe. So everyone's talking about AI from an electricity consumption perspective, but where do you see it now? And being a serial entrepreneur, I guess, where can AI actually help the energy sector become more efficient, especially at the household and the customer adoption level?
Yeah, obviously everyone talks about AI,
Yeah.
clearly, rightfully so. But an area that we definitely see as a big use and has been ramping literally on a day-by-day basis is a lot of the grid in every country, specifically in the United States, is a very supply-driven grid. Utility focus heavily on generation transformation and less on the demand side, behind the meter. Even using terms like ratepayers and meter IDs to describe homes. And we felt like there's no network in the world that are managed on a one-sided network. In order to manage transportation, financial network, any network, you need to balance supply and demand. And this is where AI and data can help a lot. If you would understand the nodes of the grid in the best way possible and be able to predict the future, you can balance the grid much better, let alone that those assets at the edge could generate and store energy and contribute back into the grid. And this is where we see and we starting to operate as leveraging residential homes, not just optimizing the residential home, but how each and every home in aggregate could act like a distributed power plant or virtual power plant. And the orchestration of the grid should happen both on the supply and demand. And it's impossible to do that without access to a lot of data and machine learning.
Perfect. So maybe last question before the beers. So how do you read the current investor climate around energy and climate tech? Are VCs, considering the fact that you recently also raised, so are VCs generally becoming more serious about the sector? Is it a renewed interest mostly due to a reaction to the AI-driven energy demand?
I'm by no means an expert, but I can just speak from my vantage point. It's a funny point. I was talking to Sean last week about this specific element. We raised a seed round last year, and we just coming from a different industry. We know ventures, Sand Hill Road ventures, traditional software ventures, and the general climate or whatever the general theme was that software internet investors are not investing in energy because that's climate and that's impact. That's a different vintage of investors. And when we spoke to a bunch of energy investors, they're not software just in terms of dynamics of assessing LTV or CAC type businesses and things like that. And the funny thing is that roughly 12 months passed, and feels like it completely shifted. We're now getting so many inbounds of, and the sentence is always, we're a software VC, but we built our thesis on energy, and we're really excited about that because of AI, because of data center, because of yada, yada, yada. We have a practice, we have a partner, yada, yada, all of those things. I'm not saying that all dollars are pouring in, but it's definitely a change of pace.
Perfect. Tal, thank you very much for joining us. Back to you, Cody.
Thank you very much.
Alon, Tal, thank you so much. Before we wrap up, I want to thank you all for being here. I know we're all excited about the beers. Tomorrow, bright and early, have coffee with us at Herzog Fox Niemann for the All-Stars. That's an event that I believe is sold out already, which is amazing. So we look forward to seeing everyone there. 8:30, come have coffee with us, get energized, because we're going to start sharply at 9:20. So please arrive on time. If you have free time this week, I highly suggest you go to our Luma. Go to our Luma. There's events happening the entire week. And with that, thank you so much for coming tonight, and enjoy the beer. Have a great evening, everyone.